Dear one, have you felt it lately? That quiet tug in your chest, like someone far away is thinking about you right this second? That small ache that shows up out of nowhere, in the middle of your day, in the middle of the night, and you don't know why, but you just know it means something? That feeling is not random. It is not your imagination playing tricks on you. Someone connected to your heart is standing at a crossroads right now, and what they decide is going to change your story. So before we go any further, I want you to do something small. In the comments below, just write the word ready. That's it. One word. Let it be your way of saying, I feel this, and I am open to what comes next. It will only take you a second, but it matters because this message was written for the people who are ready to hear it. And if you're reading this, that's you. Now let's talk about what's really happening. Someone out there is thinking about you more than you realize. And they are not confused about how they feel. That part is settled. They love you. They have loved you for a while now, maybe longer than either of you would admit out loud. The question they are wrestling with is not, do I love this person? The question is bigger than that. It's, what will it cost me to love them the way they deserve? That's the real battle going on behind their silence. You've sensed the shift. You've felt the tension in the air even when nothing was said. That heaviness pressing on your heart isn't nothing. It's a kind of quiet knowing. Somewhere, someone tied to your soul is facing a choice that is not simple, not light, not easy to walk through. It's deep, it's personal. It touches parts of them they've never had to look at before. Dear soul, pause for a moment. Welcome to the Angel's Message for You original channel. Please check the channel name carefully. It's Angel's Message for You. This is our only official channel. Beware of copycat and fake channels. Stay connected to the original source to receive authentic angel messages and true blessings. A very special thank you to dear Stephen and Gail Such Smiley for sowing your seed for Soulmate here through Ko-Fi link. Super thanks. May this seed return to you multiplied with soulmate blessings, divine protection, love, well-being, and abundance. May the angels guide and watch over you always. Thank you for your beautiful support. Blessings always. Let's know what angels want us to know. It isn't about whether they care. They do, and they always have. The real tug of war is love versus everything else stacked around it. The fear, the pressure, the old wounds, the doubts whispered by people around them, the sheer weight of what it means to love someone like you. Because you are not ordinary. You carry a light that's rare. You carry a kind of grace people notice even when they can't name it. And loving someone with that kind of light comes with responsibility. They feel that responsibility. They respect it. That is exactly why they are not rushing. They are counting the cost quietly, honestly, the way someone does when they finally understand that this one actually matters. Some nights they lie awake asking themselves hard questions. What will I have to let go of if I choose this? Who will I have to become? And right now, the silence around that question can feel confusing, even painful, but it isn't punishment. It's preparation. Something inside them is being asked to stretch, to grow, to get ready for something real instead of something easy. This is not a passing crush. This is the kind of connection that touches someone's whole life, their path, their purpose, their future. They know that even if they haven't said the words, they know that choosing you means choosing to grow up in ways they've avoided. It means becoming someone who protects your peace instead of adding to your pain. It means letting go of smaller distractions and stepping into something bigger than a feeling. And yes, that scares them. Not because you're too much, but because nobody ever taught them how to hold something this real. Someone who is spiritually awake, emotionally present, and deeply in tune the way you are, that is rare, and rare things ask more of us. They don't want to fail you, but they also can't stop thinking about you. So they sit with it. They question it. They cry over it sometimes when nobody is watching. They wait for signs, for clarity, for a sense of readiness that hasn't fully arrived yet. And all the while, something bigger than both of you is quietly working behind the scenes, shaping this whole situation into something meaningful. What they choose next will shape your path too. Whether new doors open for you, whether your heart finally gets to rest, whether healing finally has room to breathe. I know it hurts to feel someone pulling back when your spirit is shouting yes. I know it's hard to watch someone hesitate when everything in you wants to lean forward. But please don't take this personally. This isn't rejection. This is revelation. They are being shown, slowly, who you really are, and that can be a lot to take in for someone who hasn't stood this close to that much light before. They're used to being needed, not partnered with. They're used to fixing things, not building something side by side. And now they're questioning whether they're truly ready for something whole. But underneath all of that, they are still being pulled toward you, quietly but deeply. Even now, in their own private moments, they are asking to become someone better for this. Not because they want to arrive broken and hand you their mess, but because they want to bring you something steady. They want to be a shelter, not a storm. They want to be a blessing, not a burden. And something bigger than the two of you is hearing that intention, even if you can't see the movement yet. It is quietly stripping away the fear, the pride, the old habits, until what's left is someone strong enough to stand beside you. Not above you, not behind you, right beside you. So please, don't let this waiting season harden your heart. This isn't abandonment. This is something beautiful being carefully protected while it finishes forming. Think of it like a seed being kept underground a little longer than expected. Not because it's dying, but because its roots are still growing deep enough to hold what's coming. When it finally breaks through the surface, you won't get someone confused and half-formed. You'll get someone whole. There's an old line of wisdom that says, "I will guide you and show you the way to go, watching over you with care." That guidance is happening for them right now. Through every tear, every hesitation, every closed door they've walked past. Because in the end, this was never only about love. It's about timing, alignment, and the kind of surrender that can't be rushed. And when they finally choose, it will not be halfway. It will not be uncertain. It will be steady, brave, and full of quiet confidence. And you will feel it the moment it happens, because peace will walk in with it. The ache will lift. The waiting will end. And something in your heart will settle and say, "This is what I was waiting for." Until then, hold your heart gently. Protect your hope without needing proof of it yet. Sit in quiet moments and let your spirit rest instead of racing ahead with worry. What is forming right now is more than a relationship. It's a meaningful turning point that is going to change more than you expect. Here's something else worth understanding. This person is being tested, not just in ordinary life, but on a deeper level too. There is real resistance around their mind lately, doubts louder than usual, second thoughts that seem to grow the closer they get to choosing you. That is not a coincidence. When two people are meant to build something meaningful together, there is often extra static, extra noise, extra friction trying to pull them apart. Almost like the universe is testing whether this connection is strong enough to survive pressure. Your bond threatens old patterns, generational cycles, comfort zones neither of you were built to stay in. You represent breakthrough, healing, a different kind of future, and that makes the choice heavier than most people would ever understand. They aren't only choosing between two people. They're choosing between two versions of their own life. One path feels safe and familiar. The other requires faith, growth, and honesty. You are the path that requires faith. Loving you fully means walking into the unknown, letting go of an old identity, and finally facing things they've spent years avoiding. They aren't afraid of you. They're afraid of what loving you honestly will ask of them. Discipline, healing, transparency, real commitment. These are things they admire in you but haven't fully built in themselves yet. They look at your heart and quietly ask themselves, am I strong enough to protect this? Am I healed enough not to break it? And the answer forming inside them slowly is yes. This pause isn't punishment. It's preparation, because what you carry deserves careful hands, and something bigger than both of you isn't willing to let you be hurt again. They are being slowed down on purpose so they don't come to you still carrying confusion. I know you're tired of waiting. I know part of you wonders if this is ever going to move. But the version of them you're waiting for is being reshaped right now, and reshaping always takes longer than we want it to. It isn't always visible from the outside, but it is happening. They've asked for confirmation over and over, and they've received it. Yet fear still rises sometimes, and that's simply part of being human. They are in a real internal tug of war between comfort and calling, between old habits and new hope. And you represent that new hope, that steady light they've never quite had before. That kind of light can feel intimidating to hold, even when you want it more than anything. So they pause. They go quiet. Please don't misread that silence as disappearing love. Their feelings haven't changed. What's changing is their understanding that love alone isn't enough. Love has to be steady, chosen on purpose, and cared for daily. They are learning how to choose it the right way with real clarity instead of impulse. There's a gentle old truth that says, my ways are higher than your ways, and my thoughts are higher than your thoughts. Growth doesn't always move at our pace, but it moves with purpose. So when they finally arrive, you'll be receiving someone who has genuinely wrestled with themselves, someone shaped by real reflection, someone who chose you not out of convenience or loneliness, but out of real conviction. When they speak, you'll hear it in their voice. A new depth, a new steadiness. They might say something like, I almost walked away from this, but I couldn't. Something wouldn't let me. It showed me your heart, and it showed me mine, and it gave me the strength to finally choose right. And you'll know deep down this was never ordinary. This was a meaningful process, and you'll be thankful for the delay, because the delay was actually protection. You weren't ready to be handled carelessly again, and honestly, neither were they. So keep waiting with grace. Keep trusting quietly. Keep loving with an open heart, because what's coming will make every hard night worth it. Every unanswered question, every moment of confusion, every tear that fell when you wondered if you'd misunderstood everything. You didn't misunderstand. You felt it correctly, and the answer is on its way. They are being pulled between the life they built out of survival and the life they're being invited into now. You are part of that invitation. You are the signpost pointing them somewhere better. That's exactly why this feels hard for them. Moving toward you means letting go of who they used to be, letting go of old comforts and old beliefs about love that never actually served them. They wonder quietly, will I still be loved if I change this much? Will I still be enough if I stop hiding? Because being close to you asks for honesty, and not everyone has felt safe enough to be fully honest before. But here's the truth waiting for them on the other side of that fear. You were never in love with their performance or their polished version. You've been loving the real one underneath, the soft and human parts, the ones they usually keep hidden. And they are starting to feel that love reach places inside them that have been closed off for a long time. It is melting old fear slowly, day by day. Please don't mistake this quiet unfolding for rejection. It's refinement. It's a kind of inner cleaning out, so what rises next is someone truly ready for this connection. This isn't only a feeling anymore for them. It's becoming something they feel responsible for, a real commitment, the kind that pulls both people upward instead of keeping them comfortable. That kind of love can feel intimidating to someone who has never experienced it before, and that's really what they're wrestling with, not you, but the depth of what loving you actually means. They're praying, in their own way, with trembling honesty, saying things like, "I don't want to mess this up. I don't want to bring chaos into their life. I want to love them with real wisdom. I want to finally show up healed." And that intention is being met, not with a sudden lightning bolt of change, but with quiet clarity, gentle nudges, and a kind of protective delay. They are being asked to sit with their fear instead of running from it, to look honestly in the mirror instead of blaming timing for everything. That's hard because for so long they've been used to running. But love like this doesn't let you keep running forever. It gently holds you accountable to the truth. There's an old line that says, "Wait patiently, stay strong and courageous, and your heart will be renewed." That's exactly what's happening for both of you right now. This waiting isn't empty time. It's strengthening you, your faith, your patience, your discernment, and it's strengthening them too. Their resolve, their honesty, their willingness to finally grow. So stay soft through this. Don't let tiredness turn into bitterness. Stay warm. Stay open. Because the very thing they fear most is losing the person who waited for them with an open heart. They think about you in quiet moments they don't talk about, in the stillness before sleep, in random memories that surface out of nowhere, in a kind of longing they can't fully explain. They've tried to distract themselves. They've tried convincing themselves this was just a passing phase. But it never faded. If anything, it deepened, becoming the kind of reflection they can't look away from anymore. Now they're standing at the edge of a real decision, one that matters beyond just their heart. It touches their whole path forward. Because this was never about simply liking you. It's about aligning with you, with your future, with the light you carry. And they understand that if they step into your life, they have to do it fully, no excuses, no half effort, no fear disguised as uncertainty. Real courage, open hands, a heart that's actually ready to show up. That costs something, and they are counting that cost slowly and honestly. They're beginning to see there's no lasting peace without you in the picture. Because peace tends to live wherever real connection lives. They feel it every time they think about your voice, your presence, the quiet calm you bring even from a distance. You've been a kind of shelter for them without even realizing it, and they don't quite know how to put that into words yet. So for now, they stay quiet, hoping their courage catches up with their feelings soon. But something is shifting. What used to feel like confusion is turning into clarity. Their inner voice is getting louder than their doubt. Their heart is slowly bending toward yes, not because it's easy, but because it's time. They can't keep choosing comfort over a real calling much longer. Every day they wait, they feel a little more out of step with themselves, and they know it. Distractions are falling away. Old excuses are running out of room to hide in. And soon, they will look up and truly see you. Not just with their eyes, but with their whole spirit. When that moment comes, you will feel it. A kind of shift, a release, a sense of knowing that's hard to explain but impossible to miss. Because real connection always confirms itself eventually. And this one was built through patience, watered through hard moments, and protected the whole way through. There's a simple old truth that says, trust with your whole heart, and don't lean only on your own understanding, and your path will be made clear. That path is quietly being made clear for them right now, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. So trust the timing rather than rushing it. Trust the process rather than trying to force an outcome. When they finally arrive, it won't come wrapped in apology. It will come as a promise, steady and sure, not a guess, but a real decision. I choose you. I choose this. I choose to love you the way it deserves to be loved. They thought loving you would be simple, that real feelings would just smooth everything else out. But they're learning that choosing you actually means choosing growth, choosing honesty, choosing surrender to something bigger than their comfort zone. And now they're standing in that truth, shaken but not lost, surprised by how much inner work still needed to happen. Loving you brought that mirror into their life, and they can't pretend not to see it anymore, because your presence revealed things they'd buried for a long time. Old wounds, quiet fears, feelings they hadn't shown anyone, maybe not even themselves. Now they have to decide. Keep hiding or let this connection help them grow. They've been quiet lately, not because they don't feel anything, but because they feel almost too much. They're not only thinking about emotions anymore. They're thinking about the future, about responsibility, about what kind of life they actually want to build. That's exactly why they feel stuck. Their heart wants you, but their fear whispers that they might not get it right. They ask themselves quietly, what if I come into their life still carrying old wounds? What if I ruin something good? And the answer forming inside them is simple. You're not meant to do this alone. Support will come. Growth will come. But first, they have to choose not just you, but the better version of themselves that's ready for you. That's the real work happening here. It was never really about whether you're right for them. It's about whether they're finally ready to become right for you. And that is a meaningful process, one they are slowly, honestly surrendering to, one small step at a time. You may have felt echoes of that surrender already. Unexplained tears, quiet moments of stillness, a strange softness in your own spirit at random hours. That's because hearts that are truly connected still feel each other, even through distance, even through silence. They are getting closer, closer to choosing you, closer to choosing growth, closer to choosing courage over fear. But it isn't finished yet, and you don't need to rush it or try to fix it yourself. Let it unfold naturally. Let the fear burn down on its own. Because when they do arrive, it will come with real clarity and calm. Not shaky, not uncertain. An old line of comfort says, those who wait with hope will find their strength renewed. Your strength is being renewed too, even now. So don't give up. Don't lower what you know your heart deserves. Something quiet is happening on both sides at once, gently drawing you both toward each other. They're beginning to understand this isn't just about romance. It's about the kind of foundation they'll be building for years to come. When they picture a life with you, they don't just picture a person. They picture an entire future, one that asks for honesty, intention, and real depth. And for the first time, they realize they can't fake their way through that. They can't coast on charm or chemistry alone. They have to actually grow into someone new, someone steadier, someone healed. That thought is humbling for them, not because they don't want to grow, but because they've never had to grow this deliberately for anyone before you. Choosing you means letting go of certain things, old habits, easy distractions, emotional hiding places, quick decisions made out of fear instead of clarity. It might mean pushing past outside pressure, old patterns from their upbringing, even a quiet inner voice that whispers, you're not ready for someone like that. But they're tired of listening to that voice now. They're tired of delaying what already feels true in their heart. So they keep healing, keep reflecting, keep quietly preparing, even on the days it feels like a lot. And still, they feel drawn to you, to your light, to your grace, to the way you love without forcing anything. That draws them in more than they expected, and it humbles them without you even trying. That's part of why they've gone quiet sometimes. They're not pulling away from you completely. They're letting go of an old version of themselves quietly, in private, and that process is uncomfortable but necessary. Because lasting connection was never meant to be built with someone who isn't fully present and ready. This season of distance is really about protecting what's forming, making sure it's built on truth instead of just urgency, on steady maturity instead of simple need. Even if your heart feels tired right now, please don't give up. There's an old encouragement that says, don't grow weary in doing what's right, because in time, you will see the reward if you don't give up. You're in that season right now, the one right before the breakthrough, where the yes is quietly forming in their heart, where clarity is slowly settling into their decisions. You don't have to chase this or force it into place. Just stay steady. Keep believing gently. Keep trusting the process because they are coming not for a moment but for something lasting. Eventually they'll say, out loud, I choose to walk with you. I choose to honor what we have. I'm ready to build this the right way. And when you hear that, you'll know every bit of the waiting was worth it. Every quiet night, every uncertain pause, every unanswered question. It will all settle into peace, into relief, into a new beginning that finally feels steady. They're sitting with real truth now, the kind that's hard to avoid. The kind that asks, will you keep choosing what's comfortable, or will you choose what's meaningful? Because you were never the easy path. You are the meaningful one, dear one. Someone who carries real depth and quiet purpose. Choosing you means letting go of anything shallow, anything performative, anything built only on convenience. They've tried to walk away from this feeling more than once, but it always finds its way back, a little louder each time. So the choice in front of them now is simple but heavy. Stay the same or grow into who they need to be to love you properly. It's not about a quick reply or a passing gesture. It's about showing up whole, healed, honest, and ready. They know if they arrive still unfinished, it could hurt you, and that's the last thing they want. So for now, they've stepped back for a season. But this distance isn't disinterest. It's respect. They're protecting you from an unfinished process, because what's shifting inside them runs deep, deeper than just this connection, touching old beliefs about love and identity they've carried their whole life. They're quietly asking, if this is real, help me not to ruin it. Help me not to let fear delay it any longer. Help me choose well. And that intention is being met with quiet support from every direction, because something in your own spirit already knows this isn't over. This is simply a quiet chapter, a necessary stillness before the return, before the honest I'm ready now that you've been waiting to hear. When it comes, it won't feel rushed or uncertain. It will feel like relief, like healing, like a heart that has finally settled into its own truth. You'll feel peace return with them, the kind of peace that only comes when love stops hiding and starts showing up fully. So don't mourn this quiet season. Something meaningful is forming underneath it, and soon it will come into bloom. You'll see it in their face, hear it in their voice, notice it in the way they carry themselves differently, because this time they won't be searching for answers. They'll be bringing one, and it will sound like, I chose honesty. I chose growth. I chose you. There's an old line of comfort that says, this present difficulty is small and temporary, but it's shaping something lasting and good. This waiting is doing exactly that. It's working for you, deepening you, preparing you both for something real. So hold on a little longer. Stay soft. Stay open. What's quietly forming right now will soon be spoken out loud, in love, without hesitation. They are standing right at the edge now, one step away, and everything in them is quietly holding its breath, because this isn't just an ordinary decision. It's a meaningful turning point about who they'll become and who they'll walk beside. Your name has already settled somewhere deep in their heart, even during the moments they couldn't fully show it. You've seen the parts of them they usually hide, old wounds, quiet guilt, unspoken longing, and you didn't run from any of it. You stayed steady. You prayed, waited, kept your heart open through the confusion, even when they couldn't respond the way you hoped. And they felt that more than you know. Your steadiness held them together in quiet, private ways. Now they are finally choosing whether to answer that fully, and this choice carries real weight because this was never ordinary. This is alignment. This is what they've quietly been asking for. They're beginning to understand that the delay was never about being held back. It was about being held steady, so nothing would break in the process of building something real. And when they finally speak, you'll hear something different in their voice, a kind of settled maturity, a decision made not out of loneliness or missing you, but because they're genuinely ready now to show up fully, without hesitation, without holding back. When they say your name, it won't sound like a memory anymore. It will sound like a responsibility they're proud to hold, like a quiet blessing they finally feel ready for. There's an old truth that says, the steps of someone good are guided, and their path is watched over with care. Their steps are being guided right now, not by impulse, but by real conviction, and that's exactly why you can trust this process. When something is real, it doesn't just fall apart under pressure, it settles into place. And things are quietly settling into place for both of you right now, even in ways you can't yet see. They're having their own quiet moments of clarity, small nudges of understanding, bursts of longing that keep turning into hope. Change is happening, and soon they will move. When they do, they'll bring real peace with them. Not confusion, not back and forth, but steadiness. Because the kind of love that survives real testing is the kind that can actually carry something lasting. Your connection was built for that. So wait with dignity. Believe with quiet strength. Hope with patience, because this decision is being shaped somewhere private right now. And when it finally shows itself, it's going to feel like exactly the right moment. They're quieter these days, but that silence is loud on the inside. A kind of internal tug between who they used to be and who they're becoming, between the familiar and the unknown, between comfort and something meaningful. They've never faced a decision quite like this, not just between people, but between versions of themselves. One path is easier, safer, more familiar. The other asks more of them, but leads somewhere better. And you represent that better path, the one that asks for real transformation, real honesty, real growth. They're wrestling with this because choosing you truly means choosing surrender, choosing a life built on truth and wholeness instead of old habits. That wasn't the version of love they were taught growing up, but something is shifting now. The more they think about you, the harder it becomes to settle for less. You've changed them, not through pressure, but simply through your presence, through the quiet example of how you love. And your steady light is starting to feel less intimidating and more like something they finally want to grow into. They are healing now, slowly, imperfectly, but honestly. And your love is reaching them even from a distance, even through long silences, even without needing constant reassurance. Because real connection doesn't stop working quietly behind the scenes. What's happening inside them is deep and sometimes messy, but it's real, and they are finally facing this choice honestly instead of avoiding it. They know what they want now: real peace, meaningful love, a future built on something solid. And you are part of that future. They keep asking themselves, am I strong enough to protect something this meaningful? Am I willing to let go of everything familiar just to hold onto something worth having? And somewhere deep down, the answer forming is yes, because they won't have to do it completely alone. Support will meet them halfway. They just have to keep choosing one honest step at a time, and soon you'll start to notice real movement. A message, a visit, an honest conversation, a door reopening without the weight it used to carry. And this time, they won't be intimidated by your light. They'll appreciate it. They'll protect it. They'll want to add to it because they finally understand you were never meant to make them feel small. You were meant to walk beside them as they became who they were always capable of being. They will choose you not as a rescue, but as a real partner, not as an escape from their life, but as someone to build a meaningful one with. Because in the end, this was always about more than a feeling. It's about a shared path, a shared purpose, and mutual respect. There's an old line of comfort that says, "Peace is given to you freely, so don't let your heart be troubled or afraid." That peace is on its way, not just as an idea, but through real action, real decisions, real spoken honesty. And when it arrives, it will answer every quiet hope you've carried, every private moment you wondered whether they truly saw you. They did. They simply weren't ready yet. But they're getting ready now because you are memorable, steady, and genuinely rare, and nothing meaningful stays apart forever out of simple fear. They've reached the edge of this decision now, standing right where fear and love finally meet face to face. The point where pretending no longer works and running no longer feels satisfying. Nothing else compares to what you bring into their life. No distraction, no replacement. Nothing fills the space the way your presence does. They didn't expect love to feel this steady, this real, and that's part of what made them pause, because genuine love has a way of showing us exactly where we still need to grow. Right now, something is gently showing them the difference between simple attraction and real, lasting connection, between what's easy and what's genuinely meaningful. And it's changing them quietly. They speak differently now, think more carefully, move through life a little slower and more intentionally, because their inner voice is finally leading instead of their fear. And that inner voice keeps pointing back to you, the one who waited without controlling, who loved without constant conditions. They're asking themselves how to come back without ruining what's already been built, how to face you honestly after all this time. And the answer they're finding isn't rooted in shame or fear. It's rooted in truth, in clarity, in quiet, steady leadership. They're preparing not just what to say, but who they want to be when they say it. They're being shaped in this quiet season so that when they finally speak, it comes from somewhere real. And when you hear it, you'll know instantly, this is different now, this is ready now. There's an old truth that says, let go of the old ways of doing things. Don't dwell on the past, because something new is forming. Something new is forming in both of you right now, and the choice that once felt impossible is becoming clear, because your own inner peace is finally louder than your fear. You are becoming a kind of mirror for them, a reflection of where they're capable of going. And they don't want to miss this. They don't want to delay it any longer. So they're choosing quietly, privately, honestly, and soon they will choose it out loud, and it will feel like the beginning of something you've both been waiting for. There will be days when doubt tries to creep in, when you start to wonder if you read all of this wrong, if the ache you feel is just wishful thinking instead of something real. On those days, be gentle with yourself. Doubt doesn't mean you were wrong. It just means you're human, and waiting for something meaningful is never easy, even when you know deep down it's worth it. Let yourself feel the doubt without letting it take over. Breathe through it. Remind yourself that real things take real time, and nothing worth having ever arrived on a rushed schedule. Notice the small signs along the way, even if they seem quiet or easy to miss. A memory that surfaces out of nowhere. A song that plays at exactly the right moment. A dream that feels more like a message than a dream. These small moments are not coincidences. They are gentle nudges letting you know that something is still moving, even when it feels still on the surface. Pay attention to them. Let them comfort you instead of confuse you. And while you wait, don't put your whole life on pause. Keep living fully. Keep growing in your own way. Keep tending to your own healing, your own joy, your own peace, because the version of you that walks into this next chapter deserves to feel whole too, not just hopeful. This isn't only their season of preparation. It's yours as well. You are being prepared right alongside them in your own quiet way, even if it doesn't always feel like it. Sometimes the waiting will stretch longer than you expect, and it's okay to feel frustrated by that. It's okay to have moments where you just want an answer, a sign, anything concrete to hold on to. In those moments, try to remember that meaningful things are rarely instant. A tree doesn't grow overnight. A season doesn't change in a single day. What's forming between you and this person is being built slowly, layer by layer, so that when it finally arrives, it has real roots instead of shaky ground. Trust that timing has a way of working itself out, even when it feels slow from where you're standing. What feels like delay right now may simply be two hearts being prepared at the pace they each actually need, not the pace you wish they moved at. And that's okay. Real, lasting things are rarely in a hurry. If you find yourself replaying old conversations or wondering what you could have done differently, gently let that go. This was never about something you did wrong. This is about someone else's inner timing, their own healing, their own readiness catching up to what their heart already knows. You don't need to fix them, convince them, or prove anything further. You've already shown up with an open heart, and that was always enough. The rest is simply theirs to walk through. Give yourself permission to feel hopeful without needing a guarantee. Hope doesn't require proof to be valid. It's not naive to keep believing in something good just because you can't see it clearly yet. Some of the most meaningful things in life show up quietly, without warning, right when we've stopped demanding an exact timeline for them. So let your hope stay soft and steady instead of anxious and searching. That kind of calm hope tends to attract exactly what it's waiting for. Dear one, hold on to your hope a little longer. Whatever quiet season you're in right now, trust that it's shaping something worth having. Let your heart stay soft. Let your patience stay steady. And when this finally comes full circle, you'll understand that nothing about this waiting was wasted. Every quiet night was part of something real being built, carefully, honestly, and completely worth the wait. Keep this feeling close to you, even after today. Let it settle into your spirit instead of fading by tomorrow. You didn't come across this message by accident, and you won't walk away from it the same. Something in you already knows that. So carry it gently, and let it remind you, whenever doubt tries to creep back in, that what's meant for you is still finding its way to you, one honest step at a time. Amen.